Good evening and welcome to tonight's romantic sleep story for grown-ups. A summer's romance in the 1950s. The diner hummed with gentle energy, the pastel pink walls casting a warm, inviting glow. Turquoise booths lined the sides, their vinyl seats offering cozy spots for friends and couples to gather, sharing whispered secrets and sweet laughter. Matching turquoise chairs surrounded the gleaming formica-topped tables, each adorned with neatly folded napkins, salt and pepper shakers, and red ketchup bottles ready for burgers, milkshakes, and fries. The jukebox played softly in one corner, its polished wood and chrome exterior gleaming under the diner's ambient lights. Rainbow-colored lights danced along its sides, casting a playful glow that caught the eye. With its shiny chrome finish, the coin slot invited patrons to drop in a coin and select their favorite tunes, adding to the interactive charm of the place. The melodies of rock and roll hits filled the air, setting a tender, nostalgic tone that seemed to make time slow down. The black and white checkered floor added a rhythmic pattern, guiding customers through the inviting space. The walls displayed framed photos of music icons and unforgettable moments. A black and white photo of Elvis Presley performing on The Ed Sullivan Show, Chuck Berry playing his guitar, and a framed poster of Buddy Holly and the Crickets. A turquoise guitar hung decoratively on one wall, clearly a nod to the era of rock and roll. It was a typical evening at the diner. The soft hum of conversation mingled with the clinking of dishes and the gentle tunes from the jukebox. At one table, a group of teenage girls in poodle skirts and bobby socks chatted animatedly, their laughter filling the air as they shared a plate of fries. Nearby, an older couple sat close together, reminiscing about the past as they sipped on their coffee. Across the room, a young family enjoyed their dinner, the parents keeping an eye on their excited children, who were eagerly devouring their burgers and milkshakes. In a corner booth, a group of college students gathered, balancing their conversations with studying, their textbooks spread out across the table. Donna stood daydreaming for a moment, looking out the window as the sun set. She wore her diner uniform, a pastel pink dress with short sleeves that puffed slightly at the shoulders, and a fitted bodice adorned with delicate buttons down the front. A crisp white apron was tied neatly around her waist, highlighting her hourglass figure. Her hair was styled in soft, voluminous curls with a bit of volume at the front, held back neatly by a ribbon that added a touch of playful elegance. Her lips were painted a classic red, adding a vibrant pop of color that complemented her outfit. Completing her look were her roller skates, allowing her to glide effortlessly from table to table, serving customers with a warm smile. She often found herself thinking about her dream of escaping this small town, visualizing her jar of tips and wages at home that were piling higher and higher, inching slowly towards her dream. Her dream of purchasing a ticket out of Brookside. As the night drew closer to the end of her shift, her feet aching in her roller skates, and the diner gradually emptying, she heard the familiar sound of the door chime, a cheerful jingle that resonated through the cozy space every time someone entered. She was clearing a table when she looked towards the door and noticed two men come in. The first man had a rebellious air about him, wearing a black leather jacket over a white t-shirt. His jeans were worn and slightly torn, paired with rugged black boots. His hair was slicked back in a classic greaser style, adding to his daring appearance. The second man, in stark contrast to his companion, had a more refined and sophisticated look. He wore a neatly buttoned checkered shirt and a tan Harrington jacket. His well-fitted trousers were held up by a leather belt. His hair, perfectly styled with a bit of volume at the front, had a soft wave that added to his polished demeanor, with a single lock falling artfully onto his forehead. His striking blue eyes and city slicker charm were unmistakable, making him stand out in the small town diner. The men took a seat at the corner table with two seats by the jukebox. Picking up her notepad, Donna skated over to the two men to take their order. As she approached, she noticed the second man tapping his foot to the tune playing softly from the jukebox. "Hi there, what can I get for y'all tonight?" Donna asked, her warm smile lighting up her face. The first man, with a rebellious air, ordered a coffee, black. The second man looked up, his striking blue eyes meeting hers. "I'll have a strawberry milkshake, please," he said, returning her smile. As Donna jotted down the rest of their order, she recognized the song playing on the jukebox. "So This Is Love." She couldn't help but hum along softly. The second man noticed her humming and smiled to himself, finding it endearing. Moments later, Donna skated back with their drinks. As she set down the coffee, her elbow accidentally nudged the milkshake, causing it to tip over and spill across the table. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, quickly grabbing napkins to clean up the mess. The second man laughed softly and grabbed a few napkins to help. "No worries at all. It happens to the best of us," he said, meeting her eyes with a reassuring smile. "Thanks for understanding," Donna replied, her cheeks warming slightly from the unexpected mishap and the kindness in his eyes. "I'll get you a new milkshake right away." As she skated back to the counter to replace the milkshake, she couldn't help but glance back at the man who had helped her. She noticed the first man leaning in to speak to his friend. "Dean, you're way too nice," the first man said with a smirk. "Most guys wouldn't be so understanding." So his name is Dean, Donna thought to herself as she began the process of making another milkshake. She occasionally glanced back at the table where the mysterious man, Dean, sat. He hadn't gotten mad at her for spilling his drink. Definitely not from this part of town, she thought to herself. Her mind wandered to the moment they shared, gazing into each other's eyes, when she thanked him for understanding her mishap and even helping her to clean up the mess. Finishing up the milkshake, she skated back to his table, placing it on the table and smiling at him. "Here you are, sir. Let me know if there's anything else I can get for y'all." The other man across from this intriguing stranger kept going on about a fishing story. Dean winked at Donna, acknowledging her efforts, having brought over a new drink for him. Donna skated away, not thinking any more of the interaction, as she continued serving other patrons in the diner. There were moments she could almost sense that Dean had his eyes on her, but she couldn't bring herself to look over at his table, feeling a bit nervous to meet his gaze again. He had beautiful azure blue eyes that seemed to peer into her very soul. The chef in the back rang the bell, signaling that an order for a table was ready. Dean's table. She placed their order on a tray and skated towards his table. As she made her way there, her gaze was mesmerized by Dean, who had a gentle smile on his face and was nodding incredulously at the story the other man was telling. The other man's hands now animated as if reeling in a big fish. Dean noticed her approaching, his gaze momentarily lingering on Donna, while still nodding as if acknowledging his friend's story. When Donna placed their items on the table, Dean read her name tag and said, "Thank you, Donna." "You're welcome," Donna replied, tilting her head slightly and giving Dean a slight smile. After some time, busy as she was in the diner, she noticed the two men had left. As she skated over to clean up their table, she found that the gentleman whose milkshake she had spilled had doodled an image of a strawberry milkshake with 2 straws and a "thank you, Donna" scribbled underneath. How peculiar, she thought to herself, and perhaps subtly charming. A couple days later, Dean strolled through the diner again. This time he wore a crisp white button-down shirt, the sleeves neatly rolled up to his elbows, and a pair of dark, well-fitted jeans. His brown leather loafers struck a balance between city style and small-town comfort. Over his shoulder hung a casual yet stylish messenger bag, hinting at his thoughtful nature. As he was served by another waitress on Donna's shift, he found a corner booth and took out a small notebook, jotting down a few lines before his meal arrived. Their eyes met, and he smiled at Donna, who was clearing a nearby table. She smiled back, unsure if he recognized her from the other evening. After settling in for a bit and jotting down some notes, Dean made his way over to the jukebox. He casually selected a record, "Hound Dog" by Elvis Presley, and soon the familiar upbeat rhythm of the rock and roll hit filled the diner. Leaning against the jukebox, he glanced around the room, enjoying the lively atmosphere. As the music played, Donna couldn't resist swaying her hips and shifting her shoulders slightly as she refilled the customer's coffee, her roller skates gliding effortlessly across the floor. Dean's eye caught sight of her movements, and he smiled to himself, charmed by her spontaneous dance. Their eyes met briefly, and Donna blushed, momentarily caught off guard by his gaze. She quickly looked away, her cheeks warming, but couldn't help the smile that crept onto her face. Just then, a woman in the diner, dressed in a vibrant polka dot dress with a flared skirt, was giggling amongst her friends. Her friends playfully pushed her off her seat towards Dean. With a bright smile and a hint of nervous excitement, she approached him. "Care to dance?" she asked, hopeful and eager. Dean, still captivated by Donna, smiled politely and shook his head. "Thanks, but I'm fine," he replied, his eyes drifting back to Donna as she continued to work. The woman, slightly disappointed, walked away, her friends teasing her as she rejoined them. Dean returned to his seat, his thoughts lingering on the charming waitress who had effortlessly caught his attention, yet again. He finished his meal, and as he left the diner, turned to meet Donna's eyes. She looked towards the door just as he exited, and he cast her a wink. Perhaps he did remember her from the other day. A few nights later, he returned to the diner. This time, he observed the tables Donna was serving. waiting for an empty one in her section. He discreetly read a newspaper by the door, declining another waitress's offer to seat him and indicating he preferred a seat by the window. As Donna cleared the table by the window, Dean casually placed the newspaper aside and strolled over towards her. "Hi," he said to Donna. "Is it okay if I sit here tonight?" "Of course. Let me just clear the table, and it'll be all yours," Donna replied. Her heart fluttered slightly, but she kept her composure, having served enough tables to remain confident. "Would you like a menu?" "That would be great," he replied, smiling at her. "You aren't from around here, are you?" she asked, slightly intrigued by Dean, who clearly had begun frequenting the diner. "No, I'm not. Is it that obvious?" he asked with a small smile curling on his lips as he glances at her name tag pinned to her dress. "Donna." His eyes were friendly, with a slight mystery in his gaze, a dreamy effect causing Donna's knees to feel weak. "Just a hunch," Donna teases in a flirtatious voice, winking at him. "And may I ask your name, since you clearly know mine now?" she says in a cheeky voice. "Dean. And yeah, I'm from out of town, staying with my cousin for a couple months." "I see," Donna replies, handing Dean a menu and glancing outside as she hears a plane soar above the diner. Dean notices her interest in the plane outside. "Have you ever flown?" he asks. "No, but I'd love to one day," Donna replies with a far-off voice, relinquishing her own dreams in the moment of escaping Brookside. "So what can I get ya?" she says, bringing herself back to reality and aware she's serving Dean in the diner. "Actually, I can't quite seem to find what I'm looking for on the menu," Dean says, his face mirroring his confusion. He begins flipping the menu back and forth, scrolling his finger along each page and shaking his head. "Oh, all right. Maybe I can suggest something," Donna begins. "What do you feel like tonight? We got burgers, fries, hot dogs." "Well, I'm actually looking for..." He pauses for a moment, locking eyes with Donna. "Someone to show me around Brookside. Maybe even catch a movie or grab a milkshake together." Donna's heart skipped a beat as she realized he was asking her out. She smiled, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Well, you aren't gonna find that on the menu, are you?" she replied with a bit of cheekiness in her voice, beginning to bite the end of her pen that she used to jot down orders. Dean grinned. "No, but I think it does say here, in really small text, that Donna from the diner knows some great spots and would be free to show Dean around town tomorrow night." "Now, we don't know each other too well, and I don't usually date customers," Donna begins. "Oh, it's not a date. I'm just a boy from the city looking for someone to show him around town," he rebuts, his eyes locking with Donna's and beaming with a handsome smile. "All right. There's a fair happening tomorrow for the 4th of July. I'll be off after 6, she says, as he gets up from the table and looks as if he's about to leave. "Perfect. I'll wait for you outside the diner at 6 p.m., Dean says, helping her finish her sentence, eager to confirm their unofficial date as he begins to leave the booth he was sitting in. You aren't ordering anything tonight? Donna asked, curious. Dean chuckled softly. Well, you said you don't date customers, right? So I guess I can't have you serving me food anymore. He winked. Honestly, I just came to find my guide. Mission accomplished, so I'll save my appetite for tomorrow. Don't forget, okay? I'll be outside at 6 p.m. With a salute, he headed towards the door, leaving Donna standing there, shaking her head in surprise at what just happened, her heart fluttering with anticipation. The next evening, as Donna took off her skates and changed into her ballet flats, she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The soft, comfortable shoes were a welcome relief from the roller skates she wore during her shift. She glanced at the clock, realizing it would soon be time to meet Dean. Adjusting her dress, slipping on a fitted white cardigan adorned with delicate pearl buttons and intricate lace trim along the cuffs and neckline, she gave herself one last look in the mirror. Taking a deep breath, she headed outside the diner. There he stood, leaning against a sleek turquoise Chevy Bel Air, its polished chrome gleaming under the evening lights. The car's classic design and vibrant colors spoke of a young man with a taste for style and an affluent background. Dean looked up as Donna approached, a warm smile spreading across his face. He was dressed in a crisp, short-sleeved white button-down shirt tucked into dark, well-fitted trousers. His white canvas sneakers added a casual yet stylish touch. Over his shirt, he wore a lightweight navy blue cardigan, which gave him a polished yet relaxed look. His hair was neatly styled with a slight wave, completing his effortlessly classy ensemble. Donna felt a quiet thrill seeing him there. He looked effortlessly cool, and his presence had a calming yet exciting effect on her. She appreciated his confident yet relaxed demeanor, and the way his eyes lit up when he saw her made her feel special. Taking another deep breath to steady herself, she walked up to him, not quite knowing what to expect, but an adventurous feeling stirred in the pit of her stomach. He seemed to be caught in the moment, realizing even more his fondness for Donna. He hurried to the other side of his car to open the door for her. As she entered the vehicle, his heart quickened, excited to finally take Donna out and get to know her better. It's odd, that I'm your guide, but you're the driver, Donna teased. No, I'm just the driver who happens to know where my guide is taking me tonight, he said as he started the engine and reversed his car, preparing to leave the diner. As they drove, Dean felt a slight flutter of nerves. He had to maintain his smooth charisma, especially with Donna's confident presence beside him. He swallowed, hoping she didn't notice, feeling oddly self-conscious for a moment. Just as he was searching for the right words, Donna spoke, saving him from the awkward silence. So, tell me about yourself. What's a man like you doing in a small town like Brookside? She asked, clutching her purse to steady her own nerves while trying to appear cool and confident. Dean glanced at her, appreciating her mix of curiosity and poise. I needed a break from the city. My cousin's here, so I thought I'd spend the summer exploring new places and meeting new people. Brookside seemed like the perfect escape, he said, his eyes meeting hers briefly before returning to the road. Donna nodded, her smile softening. Well, you've come to the right place. Brookside might be small, but it has its charms. And the fair tonight is one of the best parts of summer here. Dean smiled, feeling more at ease. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for agreeing to show me around. Donna felt a warmth spread through her as his genuine appreciation and the anticipation of the evening grew. As they arrived at the summer fair, the vibrant atmosphere of Brookside's 4th of July celebration greeted them. The fairgrounds were bustling with people, colorful lights strung overhead, and the delightful aroma of popcorn and cotton candy filled the air. Dean parked the car and hurried to Donna's side to open the door for her. She stepped out, her eyes wide with excitement. I haven't been to the fair in ages, she confessed, a hint of nostalgia in her voice. As they passed through the fair gates, Dean offered his arm. Donna hesitated for a moment before looping her arm through his, a smile playing on her lips. They strolled through the fair, taking the sights and sounds. Children ran past with sparklers, couples shared funnel cakes, and friends competed in games to win stuffed animals. Dean and Donna stopped at a booth where a man in a straw hat was challenging people to ring a bell with a strong swing of a mallet. Think you can do it? Donna teased, nudging Dean. I'll give it a shot, he replied with a grin. He handed a few coins to the booth operator and took the mallet. With a confident swing, he hit the target, and the bell rang loud and clear. Donna clapped her hands, her eyes sparkling. Impressive, she exclaimed. Just trying to keep up with my guide, Dean said, winking. They wandered over to the Ferris wheel next. As they waited in line, Dean couldn't help but notice how the lights from the rides reflected in Donna's eyes. Her hair blew gently in the summer wind, highlighting her rosy cheekbones and fair skin. He swallowed, finding himself mesmerized by her features and nervously scratching the back of his neck, trying to think of something impressive to say. Donna felt Dean's gaze and wished she could muster the confidence to look into his eyes or say something clever, feeling a bit uneasy about talking to a man from the bigger city and possibly a more affluent background. When it was their turn, Dean gently helped her into the seat before sitting beside her. As the Ferris wheel ascended, Donna's initial excitement gave way to a quiet moment of awe as she looked out over the fairgrounds, the vibrant lights painting a magical scene below them. It's beautiful up here, she murmured. It really is, Dean agreed, though his gaze was fixed on Donna. The Ferris wheel spun slowly, the lights of the fair casting a warm glow on her face. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of excitement and the thrill of the magic of the moment, and Dean felt an overwhelming sense of happiness. The gentle hum of the ride and the soft breeze created a cocoon of intimacy around them. In that instant, with the world outside fading away, he realized how perfect it felt to be right there with her. As the evening went on, they played a few more games, sharing laughs and enjoying the carefree atmosphere. Dean won a small stuffed bear at a ring toss game and handed it to Donna. For you, he said simply. Donna accepted the bear, her fingers brushing his as she took it. "Thank you." He simply smiled at her appreciation. As the night went on, they shared a cotton candy, pulling off pieces and laughing when their fingers got sticky. They wandered through the fair, stopping to watch a fire eater and listen to the live band playing rock and roll hits. When the fireworks started, they found a spot on a grassy hill to watch. The sky lit up with the bursts of color, and Donna found herself leaning slightly towards Dean. He noticed and shifted a little closer, their shoulders almost touching. "This is the best part of the fair," Donna said, her eyes reflecting the fireworks. Dean nodded. "It's pretty spectacular." They watched in comfortable silence, the fireworks painting the sky with vibrant hues. As the grand finale approached, Dean glanced at Donna and found her watching the sky with a serene smile. "Thanks for showing me around, Donna," he said quietly. She turned to him, her smile widening. "It's been fun. I haven't had this much fun in a long time." As the final firework exploded, Donna felt a warm, fleeting touch of Dean's hand near hers. She glanced down and saw his fingers just barely grazing hers, a subtle but clear gesture of his interest. She responded by letting her fingers linger near his, a small but meaningful connection. When the fireworks ended, they slowly made their way back to the car, both feeling the lingering excitement of the evening and the promise of getting to know each other better. Donna directed Dean to where to drop her off. Not wanting the night to end, he asked for her phone number and if it was okay to call her. She wrote it down on a piece of paper and handed it to him in the car. Ever the gentleman, Dean parked his vehicle outside Donna's house and walked over to open her door. For a moment they looked at each other, and Donna said, "Thank you again for tonight, and for the teddy." He nodded and closed the car door as she exited, then began to walk her toward her front door. The porch light illuminated them as Donna fumbled for her keys. She found them, turned away from Dean to open her front door, and took one step inside. Then she quickly turned around and leaned over to peck Dean on the cheek. He blushed and smiled at her. "I'll call you," he stuttered, beginning to walk towards his vehicle. Donna closed her front door, holding the teddy bear and the half-eaten cotton candy. She leaned back against the door and began humming, "So This Is Love," recalling all the moments she looked into Dean's eyes, his words, and his lingering smile. She trotted up the stairs to her bedroom, put down her things, and began preparing for a shower when the phone rang. Running quickly to pick it up before it woke her father, who had dozed off in front of the television with a beer in his hand, she wondered who would call so late. "Hello?" she said, catching her breath. "Hi," said the voice. It was Dean. "I just called because I think I forgot to say goodnight, and I really wanted to say goodnight. I guess I'm not making much sense, so I better let you go. Good night, Donna. I just wanted to say good night." Donna, feeling her heart beating and her stomach fluttering, said, "Good night." She bit her bottom lip as she heard Dean slowly hang up the phone. She stood there feeling the romance of the moment and held the phone to her chest before hanging it up. As Donna got ready for bed, she emptied her tips and wages into her growing glass jar on her bedroom dresser. She thought about her dreams of leaving Brookside, becoming a flight attendant, and flying on an airplane to see the world. Escaping the mundane world of her small town felt like an achievable goal. But tonight, those passions felt more subdued as she thought of how she had met Dean and the night they shared in her small town. A hint of doubt crept in as she questioned her aspirations, wondering if this new sense of adventure with Dean could offer a different kind of excitement and fulfillment she had never expected to find in Brookside. Throughout the summer, Dean visited the diner often, sometimes bringing his cousin and his girlfriend along for double dates. He took Donna to a drive-in movie one night, where for the first time, he put his arm around her shoulder. On another night, as they walked the streets of Brookside, he cautiously reached for her hand and pulled her to look at something he thought she'd like in a store window. On another summer's night, they walked barefoot on the beach, hand in hand, with only the moonlight casting a glow over the water's surface. They talked about her working at the diner to save up for flight attendant school and her dreams of one day flying away from Brookside. Dean shared his dream of telling his father that maybe he didn't want to take over the family's accounting business. He yearned to explore the world and find himself, rather than feeling obligated to follow his duty as a son. He just wanted to find his own purpose in life, not one imposed on him. That night, as the tide gently kissed their feet, erasing their footprints in the sand, Dean turned to Donna, his heart pounding. Taking both her hands in his, he gazed deep into her eyes, feeling the intense connection that had grown between them over the past weeks. Slowly, he let go of her hands, his eyes lingering on her lips. He pulled her close, one hand resting on her waist, the other softly caressing her cheek. The moonlight shimmered in her eyes, and he paused, waiting for her silent agreement. Donna, now lost in his blue eyes and drawn to his soft, inviting lips, closed her eyes and gently pulled him in, her hands cradling his face. Their lips met in a tender, lingering kiss, the world around them fading away. The kiss quickly deepened, passion igniting between them. Dean's hand slowly wrapping around Donna's body, pulling her closer as her fingers tangled in his hair. Their breaths mingled, a fiery dance of desire and emotion, leaving them both breathless and yearning for more. As they finally parted, their foreheads resting against each other, they were left trembling from the intensity of their kiss, knowing that this was the beginning of something profound and beautiful. Time flew by, and with only a week left before September rolled in, summer was fleeting, and Dean would soon have to return home, leaving Donna in Brookside. One evening, as Donna was finishing up an evening shift, a group of men she had been serving started goofing around. One of the men sitting at the edge of the booth reached out and gave her a playful but unwelcome slap on the bottom as she passed by. She brushed it off and skated away, But Dean had seen the interaction unfold and wasn't going to tolerate it. He got up, pulled the customer from his booth, and punched him, causing a commotion in the diner. Dean was promptly kicked out, sporting a bloody lip from the altercation. Donna went outside to give Dean a bag of ice, but he pushed it away, clearly upset. "You shouldn't be working here," he said, his voice tense. "I don't like it." "What's that supposed to mean?" Donna asked, shocked and upset by his tone. "Like I said, I don't like it. Those animals treating you that way." But all Donna could hear was Dean attacking her dream, her way of making a means of getting out of Brookside, stepping all over her aspirations because of something she had no control over and had put up with multiple times before meeting Dean. "What do you know? I don't get my money handed down to me. I have to work for it," she said, her rage spilling out. "I'm sorry I don't have everything given to me on a silver platter. At least I'm doing something about my future for myself." "You think I don't want to?" Dean shot back. "You sure don't look like you have a hard time spending your daddy's money," she retorted. She saw the hurt in Dean's eyes, but before she could take her words back, he got into his vehicle and sped off into the night. They didn't speak to each other for a few nights, and Dean's departure from Brookside was only days away. It was a stupid fight. She could clearly understand why he had acted and felt those things in the moment. She also felt that, in her overwhelming emotions, she had pushed his buttons on purpose to evade the hardships she was feeling inside. Meanwhile, Dean paced his room, picking up the phone and then putting it back down, preparing himself to call Donna, but her words had cut deep. His intentions weren't to imply that he had any control over her, or felt like what she was doing was not worthy or wrong. It was just intertwined with the somewhat bitter realities of working at the diner. Dean sat down on the edge of his bed, running a hand through his hair. His thoughts drifted to his father, who had always expected him to take over the family business. The weight of those expectations had always been heavy. But the more time he spent with Donna, the more he realized how much he wanted to see the world. He felt trapped between his duty as a son and his own desires for adventure and self-discovery. He recalled the countless conversations with his father, each one leaving him more frustrated and uncertain about his future. His father's voice echoed in his mind. "The business won't run itself, and I expect more of you, Dean. As my only son, it's just what I expect of you." But Dean longed for freedom, for the chance to explore new places and experience life beyond the confines of his family business. He had barely convinced his father to let him take the summer off to see his cousin, claiming burnout from working too much and needing just a short break. But really, he was thinking of a way out without disappointing his father, a person he both admired and could not bear to let down. It didn't take long for both of them, having sleepless nights and battling their own stubbornness, to realize how much they missed each other and how being apart was far worse than their hurt feelings. So as Donna left her shift a couple evenings after their argument, She saw Dean standing outside the diner with a bouquet of purple lilies, her favorite, and an expression on his face filled with remorse. "I'm sorry," he said as she approached. She looked at him and said she was sorry too, then took the flowers and wrapped her arms around his neck. They kissed as they leaned against his Chevy Bel Air, not caring about anyone watching, just lost in their lips and happy to reconcile. She missed his scent and the way his hands cradled her, feeling them on the small of her back and slowly down her waist and resting comfortably around her hips. He felt a huge relief in taking the leap of faith to reconcile before he had to leave. The taste of her lips and the warmth of her body pressing against his as they embraced made everything feel right again. Dean looked at Donna earnestly, his voice gentle but insistent. "Donna, come with me. Let's leave Brookside together. I'll help you get into school, and we can figure things out together. Just come with me." Donna's heart raced as she considered her dreams of becoming a flight attendant, her job at the diner, and the life she was working towards. "Dean, you know I'm not that kind of girl. I've pushed this far on my own and persevered through thick and thin all these years by myself. That means something to me," she replied, her voice trembling. "I know, and that's one of the reasons I think I'm in love with you. Your ambition and your dreams make you who you are. But I'm leaving tomorrow, and I've been thinking about a lot of things myself. I just wish I could do that thinking and living with you by my side." "I know it's a lot to ask," Dean said, his eyes imploring her. Donna was shocked. That was the first time he had ever said anything about being in love with her. Tears welled up in her eyes as he continued. But just consider it and meet me at our spot, whether you want to come or decide to stay. Either way, I'll remember you forever, because meeting you has been the best thing that has ever happened to me." Dean knew he had to give Donna a chance to think, and after saying their goodnights for the evening, Donna lay awake at home in bed, reminiscing about how they had made the scenic overlook their special spot early in their romance. It was a peaceful place with a breathtaking view of the town and the rolling hills beyond. One summer night, Dean had taken Donna there after she had a particularly rough day. Her father had stolen money from her savings jar to pay off some gambling debt, leaving her heartbroken and desperate to leave Brookside. As they reached the overlook, the sun had been setting, bathing the landscape in a golden glow. Dean had led Donna to sit with him on the hood of his car. Noticing the sadness in her eyes, he had wanted to find a way to cheer her up. They would often lie on the hood, talking or sharing intimate moments for hours. They had watched planes soar overhead in the afternoons and spent late nights counting stars and making wishes together. They often had dates at the scenic overlook, naming it their spot, a secluded place where they could be intimate and share their innermost thoughts in privacy. Donna fell asleep to these memories, the weight of her decision on her mind, her weariness finally overtaking her. The next evening, Dean waited at their rendezvous point, glancing at his watch as the sun began to set. Donna hadn't shown up, and disappointment settled in his chest. Realizing it was time to go, he got into his car and headed back toward town. As he passed the diner with its neon Brookside sign glowing in the dusk, he cast one last look. As he started to drive away, he glanced at the rearview mirror, and his heart leapt. There was Donna running with a suitcase in hand, desperately trying to catch up to his car. Her shoes fell off and she began running barefoot, tears streaming down her face. Dean pulled over and jumped out of his vehicle, his heart pounding with realization that she was really coming with him. He ran towards her, lifting her off her feet and spinning her around as she wrapped her legs around his waist. Dropping her bags and sobbing, she began pounding on his chest, crying, "You were gonna leave without me?" He chuckled, his breaths short, and brushed the tears from her face. "You know I was just gonna circle back anyway. I wouldn't have left without saying goodbye." Donna looked into Dean's eyes, then closed hers and leaned in for a kiss. Dean held her tight as Donna got to her feet, his hands running through her soft blonde curls, unintentionally unraveling the white ribbon she had tied as a hairband. As they pulled apart from the kiss, Dean kissed her on the forehead, and she lay her head upon his chest, his heart pounding. Taking her hand and picking up her suitcase, he led her to his car. Together, they were ready to move beyond their summer love adventure and embark on a new journey. Donna reached for Dean's hand, which rested casually on his lap as he steered the car with the other. She intertwined her fingers with his and placed their joined hands on her lap, holding them tightly. She gazed out the passenger window, watching the last few homes of Brookside pass by, the familiar scenery tinged with the bitter sweetness of farewell. Dean instinctively brought their intertwined hands to his lips, planting a tender kiss that sent a comforting warmth through her. Their eyes met for a brief, poignant moment, sharing a smile that spoke volumes. It was a silent promise, a shared hope for the future, and a deep unspoken love that bound them together as they drove into the unknown, with the neon lights of Brookside fading behind them.